We're back for another exciting episode of the hashtag Wednesday Match Play, and I thought about starting this episode and talking really fast because the guest that we have tonight runs really fast when he plays golf. He's a speed golfer, and he does more than just speed golf, but he's got a lot of things moving. He's probably one of the fittest people I've seen in quite a while, so we're going to talk about his fitness routine. We're going to talk about how he got into speed golf. He's not been doing it for a while, and Bandon Dunes comes into the conversation, so it's a lot of really interesting things that it's not a typical guest that we have on the show. It's golf related, it's fitness related. I'm going to talk about Troon Fit a little bit. We're going to talk about Troon Values Your Time, another program that Troon has. And I'm curious to see if he's heard of that program because Troon Values Your Time. If this guy was on the first tee, I'm pretty sure he is like the poster child for Troon Values Your Time. But Allan Phillips is with us and it's actually not the speed golf as much. It's Pike Athletics that brought him to us. But I'm curious, and Allan, first off, introduce yourself and tell us who you are and kind of what your day looks like. But how is Pike, that's hard to say, Pike Athletics, how is that involved? And like, what's your story? Elevator pitch, what your story is, and welcome to the Wednesday Match Play.
Thank you. It's great to be on. And yeah, so I'm a professional speed golfer. That's one of the many eclectic things that I do. Currently, I'm transitioning out of the military and about to begin graduate school for the next couple of years. So you mentioned Pike Athletics. I've also been involved in strength and conditioning, personal training, various avenues in that world. And Pike Athletics is my business that my wife and I own. She also coaches. And yeah, so it's all into many different things as we'll talk about.
So speed golf, I mean, this show's about golf, right? So speed golf, how does one get into speed golf and how does one become a professional speed golfer? You've only been doing it for a few years and it's pretty tough being a pro golfer. I can't imagine being a pro speed golfer. So what's that journey been like and kind of where'd that get started?
Yeah, so for me, it got started in 2013, like it did for actually a lot of the players. And we were very fortunate at the speed golf community. So in 2013, right before Masters Sunday, the broadcast on CBS, CBS ran a highlight show of the 2012 Speed Golf World Championships, which was the inaugural edition of that. And it was at Bandon Dunes, which made for some incredible visuals on the TV. And so I saw that and I was like, wow, I'm a pretty decent runner. I'm a pretty decent golfer, but not good enough to be super elite in either, but you put two together and I could be pretty good. And actually at the time, I didn't know if I was going to be any good or not. But I emailed the tournament or the tour chairman and invited me out to the next event, which was in Richmond, Virginia. I finished second there. And I was like, wow, I guess I found my niche. And actually won the next event in Portland. And like many people, you think, like many people in the golf world, you win something, you think early in your career, and you think, oh, this is easy, this is going to be fun, and lo and behold, that's my only tour win since then. I've been kind of a top 5 machine with no win lately.
That's awesome. It's so unique, right? And it's fun to have a different aspect of golf. I mean, speed golf is fun to watch, and I've seen like YouTube videos and stuff where they'll hit a tee shot and the next person's in the fairway and they'll try to finish the hole as fast as they can. Like there's different variations of it. But so I played 18 holes today. It's very rare that I play on a weekday, but the course I played only has 250 members, super slow on purpose, and the pace of play was 3 hours and 30 minutes, which is a quick round of golf, right? So do you ever wish that it takes longer than it does for you to play 18 holes of golf when you're playing speed golf? And what's a typical round take in terms of speed golf? Like, I have no idea.
Yeah, so in competitive speed golf, most of the elite players are in the 40 to 50 minute range. Some guys will dip under 40 minutes occasionally, and some of the shorter courses, like 5,500 yards, you'll see guys go into the low 30s, but that's not quite the norm. But yeah, 40 to 50 minutes is what you need to be competitive. But yeah, you can still enjoy speed golf playing in an hour 20, hour 30. And a lot of people do it because one of the criticisms of speed golf early on was that it can be a solo undertaking, especially in tournaments when basically you're playing one at a time, and because everyone's going for their own. time, but we found that you could still have fun playing speed golf, just play at the slowest runner's pace. And, you know, a quote unquote slow speed golf round is still faster than a quick 9 holes of regular golf.
So I was talking today while we were playing about how fast the pace was about a round that I had played that took almost 6 hours on a terrible golf course. But I remember it because I had a great time. And I can't even imagine playing it in an hour. Like, I mean, if anybody that complains about golf taking too much time, speed golf might be their answer. That's really cool. So in addition to the fact that you run really fast and all of the fitness stuff that you're doing, you're extremely fit. So what's your daily routine look like? Do you work out 6-7 days a week? Like, what's your routine like?
Yeah, I work out pretty much every day. Don't typically take scheduled days off because there's usually a day here during the week or so where life will get in the way, and it's convenient to just say, okay, that's my off day instead of scheduling it. But I generally try to go every single day. Running is a staple of mine. It just, how much I run just depends on what I'm training for, whether it's a speed golf event or a triathlon or just a running race alone without the other events attached to it. And then for strength training, I'm very much into the kettlebell. I've been instructing kettlebell for several years, since 2012. So that's mostly what I do on the strength side.
So go ahead.
Yeah, so and also spend, as part of triathlon, but also some of the stuff for the military, spend a decent amount of time in the pool.
So you pretty much do it all. Now, I'm curious, like, so a good 5K time for me, and I've done a couple of 5Ks, is like 29 to 32 minutes. Like, I'm happy at that pace. Blow me away here. What's a 5K time for you?
So my PR is 16:19. So I'm typically, so on a flatter course, I'll usually be in about high 16s. Hillier course, kind of low 17s.
Okay, so you're fast. Awesome. So I work at Tiburon Golf Club here in Naples, and let's say that we or another facility wanted to host a speed golf event. Like, I can see people running around Tiburon. What's that look like? Do you have an organization that kind of manages that and picks courses? Can a club come to that organization and plan that? Like, what's that process like?
Yeah, so in the United States, we have Speed Golf USA, which is run by another speed golf professional, Scott Dolly, based out of Houston, Texas. And basically you contact him and we'll give you some of the basic parameters on what it takes to run a speed golf event. And it really isn't that difficult. The biggest thing is getting volunteers and getting the membership to appreciate that the course is going to be closed for most of the day, because you need the whole course pretty much. And so, I mean, those are really the two biggest things. And then, of course, having a timing system. But a lot of times you can partner with a local running club or something along those lines. But it's really not that difficult. And if someone is serious, I just recommend getting in touch with Scott Dolly at Speed Golf USA.
That's really cool. Like, I could see our members, like, just, I don't know, that would be a neat thing to have.
Yeah, private clubs and members love it.
So what is your number one most memorable memory, your biggest memory of speed golf? Like, you've only been doing it since, 2013, but like, what's the one standout moment for you thus far?
Yeah, probably 2013, the World Championships that year. So my first World Championships, and it was actually quite an ordeal to get there. I had some military obligations and basically flew in at about 4 in the morning to Bandon. I actually flew in about midnight to Portland, and obviously Bandon being in the middle of nowhere, it took about 4 hours to get there, and rolled in about 4 a.m. on the tee at about 7. And it was a very special event because we had Bernard Lagat, who is an elite United States runner, and Nick Willis, who is a 2-time Olympic medalist in the mile from New Zealand, who's still actively playing speed golf. So we had those two Olympians, and there was a lot of buzz. NBC was covering it with their, those two guys being Olympians. And it was kind of this new uncharted waters, because it's like, wow, we're breaking ground here and something new and special. So that championship was probably my greatest memory.
That's really cool. So the hashtag Wednesday Match Play is presented by Eat Sleep Golf, and I need to just have them sending questions, because they always write really good questions and it takes up all the time. But they've got another good one, and I'm curious, because you said that you were pretty good at golf and you're pretty good at running. It's obviously you're good at running. But what is the fastest 18 holes that you've played, and what did you shoot? Like, I mean, that's got to be a little, like, imagine some of the guys on the PGA Tour that take 20 minutes to hit a tee shot. Like, I mean, it's obviously you're not looking past just hitting the ball forward and like. So, what's the fastest round, and what did you shoot in that fastest round?
My fastest round was 42 minutes, and I shot 75.
I know good players that can't shoot 75 with 5 under. That's absurd.
And the other thing I should mention is that we play with, obviously we're carrying our clubs, but most of us play with anywhere from 4 to 6 clubs. So you have to invent a lot of shots. It brings in the creativity aspect, and a lot of us have gone to one-arm putting. So we'll hold our bag in one arm and then just putt with the other, because it takes time to take the bag over to the side of the green, lay it down, take your putter out, go and putt, and then go back to the bag. So we just forget about the bag toss and just hold on to it.
Are there rules within this that say you can only carry 4, 6, whatever clubs?
Yeah, 7's the maximum, but most people will go between 4 and 6.
Okay, that's really cool. So I was telling you before we went live, I have a buddy that is a very long distance runner, and he'll go for a run and run 25, 30, 50 miles. What's an average run for you, and what's the furthest that you've ever just gone for a run?
The average run, it will depend again on the kind of the time of year and what I'm training for, but it's kind of a typical just go out and run would be anywhere from 5 to 7 miles. When I'm in marathon training, the longest runs will get close to 20. The longest I've done in training is, I think, 24. I've done 26.2 in the marathon itself, but I think in the training run, the longest I've gone was 24.
I will definitely make sure he sees this. His name's Mike, and he lives out in California. And it's funny, though. Like, he'll be just like, oh, I'm going for a run. And then like 4 hours later, after I've taken a nap and had dinner, he's finished with his run. So what's a speed golf event look like? How many players are involved? And kind of just walk us through the day of like a tournament. Like, I mean, with the PGA Tour, you know, you've got tens and dozens of guys that are playing. Like, is it just a handful of guys, or like what's a day look like? Did you hear that?
Yeah, you cut out for a second.
Oh, yeah. So just what's a day look like? A tournament?
Yeah. So basically, it's kind of a time trial start. So one guy goes at a time, and there'll be a clock on the first tee, and you'll get counted down. So say like you got 2 minutes, you got 1 minute, then they'll give a 10-second countdown, and then you play away. Some tournaments, the clock will start when you hit the ball. Some they'll say, okay, time starts, and then you get your chance to hit. But then, that person hits, they run off. Then anywhere between 5 to 8 minutes later, the next person will go, and then you just repeat that. Most professional fields will have, it varies. A smaller event maybe have 7 or 8 world championships. I think we had about 20 or 30 in the elite division. And so that pretty much took all morning. So I had breakfast and showered before half the field teed off, because you're done in 40, 50 minutes. And band then used to go out and play regular golf 18 in the afternoon. At most events that doesn't happen, but it gets done fast, and it's the 18th hole looks like a regular golf tournament where everyone's kind of waiting around and seeing what's happening. And it's actually a great spectator experience, because if you've watched someone at a golf tournament, it's a all-day affair at regular golf. But in speed golf, you're guaranteed to see your player on 1, 9, 10, and 18. And then there's usually 1 or 2 spots out in the course, if you're not able to take a cart, where you can go and position yourself where you'll see 2, 3, 4 holes at a time. So it's great for the spectators as well.
Does regular golf bore you? I mean, like a 4-hour round, like that's got to be miserable.
A 4-hour casual round, it depends how it's flowing. Like if it's just there's a lot of waiting, then that can kind of get irritating. But if it's a flowing round, I kind of bifurcated regular golf and speed golf enough that I can kind of get into it. But ironically, after a world championship, I remember I was playing regular golf, and the first round back at home in Texas, we were playing as a twosome. We got stuck behind a fivesome who wouldn't let us through. So
that would be miserable. Now, you've obviously Bandon is one of them. You've played some pretty incredible golf courses. What are some other of your favorite courses that you've played, and what are some that you haven't had the chance to play that you would like to play?
For speed golf or regular golf?
Either.
So Bandon is both my favorite speed golf course and regular golf course. It's just a heavenly place, and it's both for regular golf and speed golf. It is the, if God designed, if you asked God to design a speed golf course, it would be Bandon Dunes. It is perfect in every single way for speed golf. In terms of courses I'd like to play, it'd be fun to play, interesting to play Augusta under any rules, of course. Sand Hills would be a pretty fun speed golf course. The old course at St. Andrews, actually, that would be a great speed golf course as well.
You also forgot Tiburon Golf Club. You were supposed to say Tiburon. That's okay.
Oh, yeah, of course. That goes without saying.
So when you say that you shoot 75, like that's legit, like USGA rules of golf, like, or is there a different way that the rules are calculated based on time, or like kind of what's the scoring look like?
Yeah, the scoring is just additive. It's just time plus score. The two main differences with the rules are, number one, we leave the flag stick in, which coming up soon with the new USGA rules about to be rolled out, it won't be a difference. And then number two is we play a little more lax with the stroke and distance for lost ball or out of bounds, because it would just be a horrific penalty if you get up, you blow it out into the trees, you get up there and you don't find your ball, then you got to go run back to the tee. It's just an overly harsh penalty. So we generally played as like a lateral hazard in that type of situation.
That's cool. So Pike Athletics, let's go back to that for a second. You guys offer a lot of different things, from training to, golf instruction. Like, give us an overview of what Pike Athletics is, your involvement, and just kind of the 20,000-foot view of what that company is all about.
Sure. So it's mostly my wife and I. We're kind of co-coaches with it. She just got her doctorate in chiropractic, so she's doing more medical than coaching now. But we've evolved in many different ways. Golf is actually what kind of got us into the world of training. We then went through Titleist Performance Institute and all their stuff. But for the most part now, I'm generally focusing on specializing in kettlebells, because I just found it's very efficient for a lot of the populations we deal with, whether it's general population or especially the endurance population. Because I tell people, it's like, you need to strength train if you're a runner to for health, most importantly. But you can't exactly go and bring a squat rack out to the track, or you can't bring a barbell out there. And as you know, running can take a pretty decent amount of time. So it's with a kettlebell being portable and very effective at building strength as well, it found it's the optimal tool for those type of people, especially the runners and triathletes that we work with. That's really cool. Like, I see kettlebells, and I honestly don't use them because I don't know what I'm doing with them, and that might be something based on what you're saying is I need to look at putting as a part of my routine. So now, how big is the speed golf community? Like, is there a group of like 20,000 that are participating? Is it just in the U.S.? Is it more overseas? Or is there an overseas portion of that? Like, kind of what's the overall spectrum of the speed golf community? Yeah, so speed golf spans the entire world, and there are national opens in New Zealand, Australia, Great Britain. I think Sweden has a national open. Japan has a very big national open earlier this year. Australia and New Zealand have already been played, and both of those have been supported by the national governing bodies for golf in those nations. They're kind of like the USGA of New Zealand and Australia are fully on board with those championships. So it's being played all around the world, and it truly is a international community. That's really cool. Like, I honestly didn't know how you were going to answer that, and I'm glad that it is international community. So let's say that somebody that's sitting at home watching right now says, yeah, I want to do this. I run fast and I play golf. How does somebody get involved? Like, what's the journey from sitting on the couch watching TV to being a competitive and potentially a professional speed golf competitor? Yeah, so if you want to be competitive, I'd reach out to Speed Golf USA or just myself, and then I'll put you in touch with Scott Dolly there. And then really any of the national governing bodies, we all work pretty closely together. So Australian Speed Golf is very, very big, and New Zealand Speed Golf and Great Britain, so along with the United States, are kind of the big four. So if you get to reach out to any of those organizations, they could definitely put you on the right track in terms of competition. In terms of kind of the local level, hey, I just want to play faster. Typically, if you're at a private club, people have generally been successful to say, hey, to just go into the pro shop and say, hey, can I go and I just want to run the course? Can I get the first tee time out? And they'll say, sure, just, the guys might, the flag sticks might not be in when the guys are cutting the greens, but yeah, go ahead and just don't make me run with you. And so pretty successful at the private club level for the people who have tried. At the public course, it's still kind of a tougher sell sometimes because they're not sure what to think about it sometimes. But really, if you just want to play speed golf, just go out and do it is really, really all you need.
So I mentioned Troon Values Your Time earlier. It's a program that Troon has put into place that at facilities worldwide to encourage pace of play and to ensure that the pace of play is met. So it may take you 4 hours and 35 minutes to play this course, where this one may only be 4:15, setting that expectation. So when you get to the first tee box, you know how long it should take you to play. And they also have introduced a pace setter tee time. So the first group out and maybe the second group out have an incentive. So if you finish in 20 minutes under your allocated time, you get XYZ. So I can totally see this becoming like just like blowing that out of the water. Like I'm gonna email my old boss in the corporate office and say, Troon Values Your Time, check this out. So that's really cool how that all plays in, and that Troon has embraced the pace of play is a concern, and you've taken pace of play and said, forget about it and play in 45 minutes.
Yeah, and that's one of the interesting things that has come out of speed golf that I didn't expect was we've become kind of pace of play ambassadors, talking about pace of play as a whole. And that's one of the big things we talk about in our podcast. At the pace of change is what we call it. So it's not just blinders on, just focused on want to make as much money as I can playing speed golf and finishing as high in the tournament as I can. We're trying to spread, there's a bigger message here, kind of as you alluded to with what Troon has and really the game as a whole. And speed golf was just kind of an extreme version to kind of spread the word about the options for playing golf faster.
So I have never run a marathon, but in your shoes, if you've got somebody that comes to you and says, hey, the couch to 5K is a big thing. Like, how do I go from sitting on the couch running the 5K? What's the couch to marathon method? Like, I've gotten up to where I can do like 7, maybe 8 miles. I think 10 might be the most I've ever done. Big difference between 10 and 26. I mean, so what's that take to go from couch to marathon, and how long if somebody says, tomorrow I'm going to start that journey before they can successfully run a marathon?
Yeah, it depends how we define success and how strict you are with the term run, because a lot of people do get it done in there's a 16-week training plan seem to be popular. Ideally, if we're talking about just average person, not an outlier of someone who's never exercised or someone who was, say, a great runner back in the day and let themselves go and now wants to get back into it, just kind of the average person, I'd say follow the couch to 5K first, then 5K to 10K, then 10K to half to full. And usually a minimum of 2 years, I'd say. Obviously, the longer, the better. And obviously, some people just don't want to invest 10 years in their running. So 2 years, I think, is a good timeline where you can enough time to gradually build up and condition the body to not only the aerobic demands, but just specifically the pounding of running. But it's not so long that someone's like, oh my gosh, I have to commit 10 years to this, and I don't even know if I'm going to like it.
Right. Well, you have to like running. Like I enjoy it. Right. And runner's high is a real thing. Like I can't explain it, but can you attest that runner's high is like a legitimate thing that you can experience when you're running?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I 99% of the time I live in Southwest Florida, so it's humid and it's hard to walk outside sometimes. And I run a lot inside. I ran outside last night. I did 3.65 miles last night outside, but it's a struggle, right? So if I'm going to run on a treadmill, how can I use the treadmill to my advantage to make it appear as if my body is running outside? Is there like a method to that, or something that you would recommend if someone is running on a treadmill versus running outside? So
the standard recommendation for the calibration is to elevate it to 1 to 1.5%. That generally equalizes the difference in some of the bouncing of the treadmill versus what you don't get bouncing on the road. and then vary the elevation for hills. So basically 1% to 1.5% grade is equivalent to 0% on the road, but then just make sure you get your sprinkling of hills in, and bump it up to 2%, 3%, or some people, if if you're somewhat advanced, you can do sprints at 5% and above. Just make sure you're conditioned to it, because it can be pretty hard on the Achilles and the calves. But just create some variety is a big thing.
So I have to be honest, like I can't just go run 5 miles. Like I get bored. Like I like to slow down. Quite frankly, it's my smartphone that gets in the way, because I'll get a notification or I'll get a tweet and I'll have to respond to it. But when you run, like, I mean, you're different because you're able to go run 26 miles, no problem. But when you talk about somebody that's doing a marathon or even a 5K, I mean, 3 miles could be intimidating to someone. Is it okay when you're running those to slow down and jog, or to walk, or to catch your breath and just re-energize?
Oh yeah, if your goal is to finish and you're not looking to place, it's the goal is do whatever it takes to get across the line. Do what it takes to enjoy the experience, and generally it's going to be better if you start slow and build into it. It's never fun to, no matter how fast or how slow you are, it's never fun to blow up and do the death march at the end, which I've done many a time. But the other thing too is for new people, don't be afraid to have walk breaks in there. There's no, and honestly, sometimes I'll inject in the summer when I'm doing an easy run, I'll put in walk breaks as well, just to to hydrate and whatnot, because it's it's pretty hot in Texas and in Florida.
Yeah, you can relate. You're in Texas. You understand what it's like.
Right.
Now, I didn't tell you before we went live, this is going to fly by, and we are literally almost out of time, but I've got one more question, and then we jump into the back nine. It's just fun 9 random golf/run questions. It's so cool. It's not just golf, it's golf and run. Now, I was in China a couple of years ago, and I was so excited. I run all the time, right? And I was excited. We were going to the Great Wall of China, and I was going to run a mile of it. And yeah, it's like this incline. Like, it's not like something you can just go run a mile of. So I ran about a quarter of a mile, and then I was done. Have you ran anywhere in the years of being a runner that's just different, unique, just a place that you wouldn't expect, not just out on the street or in a gym on a treadmill?
Early morning Vegas is a lot of fun. The Vegas Strip.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, I've never thought about that. I'm never awake to go run when I'm in Vegas to think I'm going to go run now.
But just don't go to bed and then
stay up and then just run.
So that was a fun run.
Okay, that was a fun run. I like that. Now, when you're in Vegas, you're doing just all the way down and all the way back. What's a normal run for you? Like, you said 5 to 7 miles. Like, if you're just gonna go run daily, it's normally that 5 to 7.
It varies. That's kind of the stock, just putting in the mileage type of run. Usually 1 to 3 days a week, we'll do some speed work, whether it's what we call a tempo run, which is where you run about kind of 20 to 40 minutes at what we call a comfortably hard pace. So it's kind of like 85% effort. And then have one day that's kind of a speed day. We'll do either what we call fartlek, where you just speed is for speed play. So you just vary your pace at various junctures, or you go to the track and run intervals on that type of day. And then a long day, which will vary depending on how long your event you're training for. So if it's a 5K, maybe 10 to 12 miles, maybe 15. Marathon, obviously getting over 20 to prep for that.
Wow, that's so cool. I got one more question, because I in the back nine I asked you about running shoes, but not this specific question. How long does a pair of running shoes last? Like, has it got a mileage on it? Do the shoes differ? Like, when you buy a pair of shoes, how often are you replacing them?
Yeah, so I think the party line from the shoe companies is like 250 to 300. Some of the variables that can affect that is what type of surface you're running on. So if you're running on concrete versus trail, if you're running on grass, obviously the harder surface will wear out the shoes quicker. You can extend the life by rotating shoes in. So if you buy 2 of the same pair and you wear one on one day, then the next day wear another pair, that can extend the life as well. All that said, some people believe that the party line of 250 to 300 is just a running shoe company fabrication to get you to buy more shoes, and they extend their shoes infinitely long until there gets a hole in it. So yeah, generally I think it's best to kind of follow that guideline of 2 to 400 to just be safe.
Okay, very cool. Well, man, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show. This has been awesome. Like, it's so unique, and it's something that I don't know a lot about, and it's cool to learn more about it, and that there's an organization and there's professionals out there that are running as fast as I can play 3 holes. So now, before I let you go, we have to do the back 9. It's just fun questions about golf and running. You ready?
Sure.
Do you listen to music while you play golf?
No.
Really? Interesting. I don't typically, but today at about the 14th hole, they turned on some Bob Marley, and it did calm me down a little bit. So
yeah, I'm just old school. I mean, I love going to Topgolf where they have the music blaring, but on the course, I'm just a traditionalist, I guess.
I dig that. Okay, as a traditionalist, though, this is not one of your questions, but I'm a traditionalist. And when I wear a golf shirt, I don't have a golf shirt on now. When I wear a golf shirt, I button all the way to the top. Do you do that? Are you a member of the Top Button Club?
No, I'm not, unfortunately.
Oh, that's all right. There's not.
Gotta show off my pecs.
Yeah, that's me too. How many different pairs of running shoes do you own?
Oh gosh. I'll just say that typically I have a rotation of about 4. So I'll have 2 kind of daily trainers for easy runs. One what I call kind of a tempo shoe for faster runs, but not quite on the track. And then for track workouts and races, I have a very light pair that's about 5 ounces. But in terms of what's sitting in the closet, who knows how many. I need to make a trip to Goodwill soon.
That's awesome. Have you ever made an ace during a speed golf competition?
No, I've hit the stick, but that's the closest I've gotten.
That's pretty cool, though. So as a runner, you have to eat a lot to replenish what you're running off. How many calories do you consume on a daily basis?
I think last time I took a log and got tested, it was about 4,000.
Wow, that's a lot of food. Are you doing it in like liquids, or are you actually eating 4,000 calories of food? Like that's
some of it'll be liquid, especially in the summer when drinking Gatorade and stuff like that. And sometimes it's liquid in terms of smoothies and whatnot. It just helps it go down easier.
What golf ball are you currently playing?
For speed golf, I play the Strixon Q Star or Z Star, whatever it is. Obviously, I'm sponsored by them since I don't remember, but it's yellow. And so you're being able to see the ball is huge in speed golf, because if you don't see your ball, you're taking time to go find it.
Just hit it down the middle. Just
right.
Wider yellow on green. What's your favorite PGA Tour major?
PGA Tour Masters.
Yeah, that's got to be. I mean, the history
right.
that's behind it in speed golf. So, I mean, do you ever think you're going to stop running? Like, it just seems like you run. I mean, not that I have to throw in the cliche of run, Forrest, run and Forrest Gump, but like, do you ever think you're going to get tired of it and just kind of do something else, or like, is it just a part of who you are?
It's a part of who I am. The amount will always vary, but yeah, I'll be running till I can't.
That's awesome. Good for you. Now he's above me here. He's all around me on the room. Tiger, I'm his biggest fan, arguably. Do you think he breaks Jack's record? Why or why not?
So I do have to say that one of Tiger's former teammates, Eric Crum, is a professional speed golfer and won the 2014 World Championship. So we do have a bit of Tiger influence in the speed golf world. So is Tiger going to win another major? As much as I love the guy, I don't think so. I think he's just missed too much practice time. He really hasn't grinded, in the last 5 years or so. And if and when he does come back, he's got to do it with a new body. He was still searching for his swing when he left. It's not like he just goes back and plug and play. So unfortunately, I don't.
Okay. Well, the fact that you have the connection with speed golf and Tiger, like, so you technically, the 6 degrees of separation or whatever, like, I'm going to allow that. I don't like that answer because I want him to come back and win like 12 more, but I'm going to allow it. And your final question of your hashtag Wednesday match play is, what's next? I mean, please tell me you're going to go run 5 miles. Like, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I already did that, and it's getting kind of late today. But just continue to grow the game of speed golf. We have several more events coming on board. We have 2 events in California next month, one in San Diego and one in LA, so a little West Coast swing out there. And then we have the New York Speed Golf Open in August, which will be in Rome, New York. It's a second-year event, a pretty good purse. Players from all over the world are coming for that. And I won't be there, but the British Speed Golf Open is later this year, Japan Speed Golf Open. Continue to spread the good word at our podcast, The Pace of Change, where we consider ourselves pace of play evangelists, and just try to keep getting better at the game. On the golf side, I do have kind of this desire to qualify for the U.S. Senior Open in when I'm 50, which is getting closer. But I still like to. That's kind of my regular golf dream at this point.
That's awesome. Well, man, I can't thank you enough. It was really cool meeting you and chatting with you about speed golf. It's such a cool, just different and unique aspect. This episode is going to live on YouTube. It's going to be on Stitcher. It's going to be on SoundCloud. It'll be on iTunes and Google Play tomorrow. And I can't not end this episode. Like normally I say, you have to remember to eat, sleep, golf. But on tonight's episode is you have to remember to eat, sleep, golf, and run.